Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
Joining us right now on the Progressive guest line to talk all things New York Jets is one of my favorites. He's the co-founder at the Jets X Factor, does a great job covering the New York Jets. He is Robby Sabo, and he joins us right now here on the show. Robby, it's Jake Asman here in Houston. Appreciate your time as always, my man. How are you?
Jake, my brother, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So the Jets wrapped up their preseason last night. A lot of expectations for this team coming off a terrible season. New head coach, rookie quarterback. Let's start big picture. What did you make of the Jets' first training camp with Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson?
I mean, it's tough to not be optimistic. You know, as a fan, as an onlooker, the environment is completely different. They are focused on the right stuff in terms of building football programs, communication, culture, integrity. So from an overarching standpoint, there's not much you can't like. I mean, the only negative, I guess, is the injuries. You know, they were swimming along pretty well until Carl Lawson came and the flurry hit them. But aside from that, which, you know, Jets fans are quite used to over the past couple of years, everything's been good. The process they have is tried and tested, and it's just a matter of time now.
Robby, you look at this quarterback, all eyes on Zach Wilson. He did not play in the Jets' final preseason game on Friday due to the weather and some guys being out. Robert Saleh said afterwards he didn't think it was worth it. But from the two games we saw from Zach Wilson in the preseason, what did you make of what he did and what can be expected of him now going forward?
I think was it yesterday or 2 days ago, I caught your segment, and you're 100% right. Jets fans should be excited. Now, that's not to say, you know, he's going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer right away or first team All-Pro, but man, Jets fans have been waiting for the longest time. Yes, a lot of people were on the Darnold bandwagon early too, but this kid is perfect for today's league. Everything about him is quick, his release, his feet in between the ears. He doesn't overthink things. I think the only thing he'll struggle in the beginning with is the longer developing stuff, like 5 to 7 step drops where the timing might be off. You know, he can't get away with certain things he did in BYU. But other than that, Jets fans should be extremely excited. I think it's a special kid. I wanted him back in January, February. And the other thing is this, he's always battling narratives. You know, high school, college at BYU, coming into the draft. Yeah, he's got the traits. He fits today's league perfectly. But who was he playing against at BYU? You know, he sort of answered some of those questions, and now it's just another narrative. Okay, he looked great in preseason, but who's he playing against? Second team. It's a kid who kind of always faces these things, you know, similar with the size question too. Okay, he's not 6'3", he's really tiny. No, he's actually pretty big. You know, he actually looks the part. Is a kid who faces these narratives yet always seems to overcome them, and we'll see what happens this year.
Robby, one of the things I've liked about how the Jets have gone about things this summer is that they have not messed around with Zach Wilson being the guy, right? He took all the reps in OTAs. He took all the reps in minicamp. He took all the reps in training camp and then started both the preseason games. He was out there. They made it clear he's the guy. Whereas you see other guys around the league, like what the Jacksonville Jaguars did with Trevor Lawrence, they gave Gardner Minshew valuable reps with the ones instead of getting Lawrence ready for the season. Do you like the Jets' approach of just making Wilson the guy and just allowing him to know he's the starter and then giving him every opportunity to get all the reps before the season starts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that 100%. I like to think I'm sort of an old school football person in the sense that competition's great everywhere. You know, you want a lot of defensive linemen competing, offensive linemen competing, especially offensive linemen in August. But at the NFL level, you really don't want that at quarterback. It's different beast. You don't want any confusion. You know, Jets fans remember Tim Tebow in 2012. It was a disaster. You know, you can't, sometimes your ego has to make sure that you know there are certain situations you can't control. And yes, is the Jets backup situation not 100% beautiful, for lack of a better word? Yes. But like you said, that positive and not having anything behind Wilson and making it clear cut that he's the guy will go a long way. And also him not playing last night. Again, I'd like to play guys in the preseason. It's football. Let's get them ready, especially if they're young. But last night was that perfect storm where holding them out, I think, made the most sense.
You look at Robert Saleh and the job he has done here so far, and it's so early, so we don't know for sure what he is as a head coach. But you were at a lot of these training camp practices over the summer, Robbie. What stood out with Robert Saleh, his coaching style, and then what you've seen from some of the Jets coaches that he brought in as well?
Communication, enthusiasm. The enthusiasm is just in your face comparatively to the last couple of years. It's tough to have dark gray clouds hovering Florham Park when the coaches are always smiling and ready to attack the day and running the steps at MetLife Stadium in a downpour. I mean, that stuff matters. Leaders, it's not always about just being vocal, even though Saleh is vocal. It's not about just being vocal when it comes to leadership. It's about doing the right thing and making sure you sacrifice as a leader more than everybody else. Because if you don't do that, what the hell's the point for the rest of, the staff, the rest of the roster? So the enthusiasm, the, knowing that this is what's going to happen and we're going to turn this around, that state of mind is the biggest difference.
Talking to Robby Sabo, he covers the New York Jets for JetsXFactor.com. Robbie, you look at this Jets offense, they obviously, did not have the necessary pieces around Sam Darnold. A big reason why he didn't have success here was the coaching, lack of weapons, all that. Comparing the supporting cast that Darnold had to what now Zach Wilson is having to work with, what are your thoughts on what the Jets have done surrounding Zach Wilson with talent ahead of his rookie season?
Isn't it funny when the tank race was happening, the Jets were the franchise that was the worst situation in the world. No talent, just terrible organization, while the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of squeaked by. And, being in the media, you kind of understand that. I'm sure you do as well. New York, the starving fan base, you push a button, you want to get emotion going one way or the other, love them or hate them, and you get the most benefit, the most rewards. But now everyone would agree the Jets have a lot more talent, a lot better situation than Jacksonville. And comparing that to Darnold's situation, it's wholeheartily true. The offensive line's better. I think AVT is going to be their best lineman by far. I love Becton. He's just got to still prove his availability is on point. That's his only bugaboo. He had issues earlier this week in the humid North Jersey sun on Tuesday. Weapons, Elijah Moore, that pick sort of, people started scratching their heads with that one, but it made complete sense knowing LaFleur's system and the way the offense works in the NFL today. You got to be east-west, attack the edges, get the second level to move left and right in order to get chunks downfield. So Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, is stable at running back. And if you're a fantasy player, don't draft the Jets running back unless it's dynasty, because all three guys, even maybe a fourth at times, will play. But yeah, comparatively speaking, Wilson's supporting cast is a lot better.
Defensively, this is a Jets defense that obviously, as you mentioned at the top, lost Carl Lawson for the year before the season even began. He was their high-priced free agent signing that was supposed to, be a big part of their defensive line for years to come. How do they overcome the loss to Carl Lawson, and what are your expectations for this Jets defense in 2021?
Man, that day on Twitter in Jets land when Lawson went down in Green Bay was not a good one. That was the first one where you really felt the Jets fans' pain. It wasn't an average loss. Lawson's really valuable. He's a good player. But he was the first legitimate edge passing rush threat since John Abraham, a decade and a half. And he finally got one, finally. And then he goes down. Curry, obviously that doesn't help either. This means Bryce Huff has to really step up, or Blair or Rashed if he can make the team. JFM will play a lot more outside now instead of moving back inside and outside. So right now it looks like I expect them to struggle out of the gate. I think Bryce Hall is better than people think. I think their cornerbacks are better than people think, not by a long shot, but their slot corners are really good. Michael Carter II and Guidry, that's a really good pairing right there. It's opposite Bryce Hall. That's going to be the question mark. And without the pass rush, it's going to be tricky. If you're betting the Jets week to week, take the over on the points, because I think their offense is going to be a lot better than people think, and their defense is going to struggle, especially early.
Robby Sabo from Jets X Factor with us here. Robbie, big picture, looking at this Jets team in the season, what has to happen for you to say the Jets had a good year one with Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh?
Yeah, it's always the $1 million question, right? Record does matter. As Bill Parcells has famously said, you are what your record says you are. But it matters when you're at the end of the, road. When you're program building, you really need to focus on the process. The cornerback who does everything right, technique-wise, but gives up a fluky touchdown, does a much better job and gets praised by Saleh and the coaching staff and a good organization than the cornerback who does everything wrong, but the quarterback overthrows the football. So you focus on the process, see the development, understand Zach Wilson is legit. I think that's the first question. Is Zach Wilson legit? There can't be any questions. And in 1 year, a rookie year, number 2 overall pick, that's enough to answer that he's legit, barring injury. So I think that's the main thing. And then development, across the board from there.
You look at just what this Jets team has had to, just deal with over the last couple of years with the injuries and the coaches. Big picture, you kind of talked about this in one of your answers earlier, but do you finally get the sense that the right foundation is being laid here, that this team that now has the longest playoff drought in the NFL is getting closer and closer to finally getting to a point where they can consistently win games year after year and, dare I say, have a chance to finally win a Super Bowl for the first time since the 1968 season?
Yes. And I feel you smiling a little bit when you ask that question. So it's a good that my answer is optimistic, but the answer is yes for sure. Remember when Douglas was on the clock for his first draft pick ever, first of all, you had to wait, 10 months before he could make that pick?
Yep.
But secondly, there was a lot of calls for receivers. Jerry Jeudy, Lamb. A lot of fans want the splashy pick. They want the guy you could play on Madden with. They want the highlight reel maker. It's not so much that he picked Becton. It's the fact that he ignored that noise to me and took the no-nonsense approach, inside out, build from the trenches first. It trickles out and go from there. That's what really gave me hope in terms of turning this program around. It hadn't been since 2006 when they drafted the last first-round offensive lineman. And as soon as they did that with Mangold and Brick, away they went with arguably one of the best rosters in the league. So that's the first sign. And everything from there on out has just been, of course he's made mistakes. And Lawson, Jared Davis, it's not so much on Douglas to me. It's more so a testament that free agency sucks in the NFL. It just sucks. The good thing is Douglas won't go past what he did for Lawson, I don't think. That's the good news. He knows free agency sucks until you hit a certain point in your program, and the Jets are far from there.
He's Robby Sabo. You can follow him on Twitter at Robby with 2 B's. Sabo, S-A-B-O. Covers the Jets for JetsXFactor.com. Does a great job with comprehensive coverage of the Jets and the NFL. Robby, appreciate your time here on a weekend. Thanks so much for a few minutes, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jake.
Robby Sabo joining us there, talking all things New York Jets football. Jets wrapped up the preseason last night, and, of course, all eyes on Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh, and the new-looked Jets, who have a bunch of new players on this team. And obviously it starts with the 2 most important positions on any football team, quarterback and head coach. Robby kind enough with his time there on our Progressive guest line. Drivers who save with Progressive save over $750 on average. We will take a quick break. 1 hour to go here on the show. Jake Aspen with you till 6 Eastern on Sports Map Radio.
Pharrell.
Coast to coast. Kyle Shanahan. Dude, you're a